actually not that bad. So, a buddy of mine got me some Bernie's beans, or I think it's called Bernie's beans. The bag says, yeah, the bag says Bernie's beans. It's actually Bernie Sanders coffee that he kind of brews, I think out in like New Hampshire or Vermont or something like that. Anyway, he has a little company connection out there. It's actually pretty good. It's not super dark. It's not super light. It's just kind of like that nice in between. I'm a big latte person. I know I'm a little soft, but lattes, a little bit of sugar, that's the thing. So today is Monday, Move Better Monday. For the last 3 months, I haven't done anything. So I'm really sorry about that, because I know a lot of you have been asking me a bunch of times about whether I'm going to be getting back on that content and back on my Monday, Move Better Monday segment. And yeah, I definitely wanted to. I was trying to really, we were going through some construction. B, I had some other segments going on like Warm Up Wednesday, which will be coming out Wednesday as well. But on top of that, just between that business, I wanted to really take care of the website. So if you haven't seen the website, head over there right now. Let me know what you think. Actually, don't head over there. Listen to this, then go over there. Yeah, listen to this, then go over there. Tell me what you guys think. Leave something in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. We're definitely going to be doing a bunch of stuff that's directly. I'm waving this way. The screens, you can't see the screen, but it's like, where do we go? It's right. Damn it. It's right there. I was basically just pointing at a screen, but there was actually no screen there. So, too far. Man, I gotta stop playing around with my stuff while I'm filming. So basically, the website portion, what's going to be on there, which is really interesting, is that I'm going to be doing a bunch of content that's going to be geared towards own performance. So my company, Own Performance, we're going to be gearing it towards that on the website. It's going to have, like actually pre-designed workouts. So if you are looking for a specific workout, you can head over there, click on the community page, and you'll get access to that as well. Video clips, so full warm-up. So not so much of the in-depth stuff that I'm doing now. I'm gonna probably start tying a couple of things and kind of weaving things together, where I discuss certain things in like the Warm Up Wednesday segment, and then I throw it into there in the programs, or do a specific workout, and then within the workout, retarget you guys to come here so you guys can understand what I'm gonna be talking about, and just kind of give you guys a little bit more knowledge about what's kind of going on with the workouts and what's going on in my brain when I'm building these workouts. Now, I'm not going to be the only person building them. One of my employees here, I hate calling him an employee because I feel like I'm so like just up here and he's all the way down there, but we're really more colleagues than anything. He's going to be building some as well, which is going to be awesome. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely head over there. So today's Move Better Monday segment is going to be based on squatting. What I want to do is really start tackling something that I find is really interesting, because I see it a lot in individuals, and it's usually one of the, almost that gap that people are missing between really understanding what's going on when they're squatting versus not knowing what they're doing when they're squatting. And before we head into that, I want to give you kind of a breakdown of what that is. So the basic term for that is called dissociation. Now, what dissociation means is obviously, working separately. So working away from each other, not connected, not needing or associating yourself with something else. So when you are doing a movement, every joint has to almost be able to work on its own. You don't want it to be connected or tied into another joint. So it's essentially like having someone working in your office, and then you have the same person answering the phone calls, doing your web page, doing your workouts, doing something else, and you're basically just sitting back doing nothing. They're doing all of the work. At some point in time, they're either not going to be able to pull off the task and not actually get it done because they won't have that time and their workload is too high, or they're just going to get burnt out. So the same thing really goes for your body. If you have a joint that's working too much, or you have something that's doing too much work for something else, and you don't have a dissociation, so they're not able to handle their own tasks, you're going to end up with either poor movement, you're not going to be able to move, or B, you're probably going to end up with an injury. So that's one of the things we want to avoid with this. That's really where that dissociation needs to happen. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really dissociating the hip from the spine. I'm going to give you guys one exercise. You literally just work on this exercise, and I'm going to show you the quick progression to it to make it a little bit harder. And it's essentially just teaching you how to really bend at the hip and not at the spine. So you guys get some space if you are going to do this at the same time I'm doing this. If you're not, just keep watching. And I'm going to head over there right now onto the mat. We're going to take care of this dissociation dilemma. So I forgot to turn the mic on. Do that again. Okay, let's give this thing a second go. So you're going through dissociation. You want to basically separate the movement from the spine and the back. So I'll show you what I'm looking for. We'll talk about the exercise. I'll show you the progression. First thing you want to do is when you are moving through this range, you want to make sure that your back is actually in the right position the entire way. As I mentioned, it's really about making sure that the spine stays perfectly stable and all the movement comes from the hip. That separation is what we're really looking for. So this is what I'm really looking for in terms of that proper movement. So this is essentially the movement. What you're doing is you're getting out of this from this crawl position, and what you're doing is you're separating the knees just a bit. It doesn't have to be crazy wide. It's just a light separation. You're just trying to give yourself a little bit of space to sit back into without running into your own quads and your own musculature in the front of the hips. You want to get yourself away, get yourself out of your own way. And then from here, what you're doing is when you are sitting back, if you look at my low back right here, this is if you are lacking that dissociation, if you can't separate the two movements. So if your back is moving for your hip because you're not bending at the hip, this is what that looks like. As I start sitting back, my back's gonna start rolling down. So it's a very slight kind of rounding of the low back. You can kind of see it here through my shirt right there. So that kind of rounding. And I'll show you what it looks like when you don't do any movement at the back. When I sit back and my hip bends, you notice that I maintain that same nice curve in my back. So that neutral spine that I always talk about is gonna be maintained right through there. So as I'm dropping back into the movement, my hip stays nice and stable. So to achieve that movement and achieve that amount of almost rigidity and smooth movement and that separation from the hip and the back, you need to maintain that core contraction. From start to finish, if that core contraction is not there, you're gonna lack that ability to kind of break apart those two movements and be able to separate them. You wanna make sure that as you're sliding back, the core stays engaged so that you're holding that entire mid-torso completely stable as you slide back. And what that's gonna do is really start teaching the brain that once that core contraction kicks in, all that movement's gonna be happening at the hip and not at the low back. So let's say this exercise is very easy. So what I just showed you, that would be the almost a simpler version. The first one you're gonna go through, which again, as I mentioned, is probably gonna be something that you're gonna master pretty quickly. It's not gonna be something that's gonna take very long, probably a week or two, and you should be ready to progress with it. So you master that exercise. The only thing we're gonna modify in that, if we wanna make it a little bit more challenging, is from here, instead of just sitting back and rocking back into it, what you can do is you're gonna raise your knees up off the ground. By raising the knees up off the ground, you're really engaging the core. You're making the hips have to stabilize and work. So you're really starting to almost challenge the stability aspect of this exercise. And from there, you're just raising the knees up just a bit and maintaining that same movement all the way back and down. And as you notice, my angle here is still the same. So the curvature of my back is still the same. The angle of my hip is getting smaller. So I'm bending at the hip and really maintaining that nice spine the whole way through. So this is an exercise you can really throw in. I'd say probably a little bit more towards the beginning of the workout. So what you're trying to do with this movement is really try to teach yourself the proper movement, really teach your brain the proper movement from the start. You don't want to wait until the end of your workout when you've pretty much done all the work. Now we're trying to create that movement. You want to start initiating that from the get. And this is almost something that you could really do on one of those active recovery days. It doesn't have to be a workout day or a run day. You do this on a Sunday when you're kind of kicking back at home. You just want to FOMO, throw this in, and it's really almost going to reinforce that movement pattern and teach you that good habit. So get going on that one, guys. Let me know how it goes, and I will see you guys next time.